Hi guys, I'm Jared, and today we're talking about what's new in board gaming as of November 19th, 2021. I'll be covering the latest news, announcements, most played games, hot new Kickstarters and crowdfunded games, and more related to board gaming for the past 2 weeks. At the end, I'll also be sharing what's going on behind the scenes with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So stick around, we've got a lot to cover. Leave me a like and comment on what kinds of updates that you want to hear more about. And to make sure you don't miss any of my news updates, new video tutorials, and our podcast episodes, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and your preferred streaming platform. For crowdfunding games, first on GameFound, there's 3 new games being funded in addition to the ones still ongoing from the last news update. The first 2 are part of one campaign by Ion Games, ruled the Assyrian Empire as the 9th century BCE queen, Samu Rammat. Samu Rammat is also the name of the game, and players will be her advisors to assist her through challenges encountered in her reign. It's fully cooperative and for 1 to 5 players. Also in this pledge, you will get a copy of Derok Error, The 5 Presidents. It's a 1 to 5 player card game about the weeks that Argentina had 5 presidents in 2001. Outmaneuver the others to become the next president through proving you are the least bad. Give other players conflicts they can't handle. Also on GameFound is Wild Realms. Humanity is gone and now is the age of animals. Rally animal allies and discover the 4 realms. Collect the sets of animal cards in the 5 classes to secure your lands and race to build your animal kingdom. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 12 and up. Moving over to the Kickstarter platform, check out a new bright racing game inspired by video games like F-Zero, Wipeout, and Mario Kart. It's called Mega Pulse and is for 2 to 4 players, featuring simultaneous action selection, hand building, and tight strategic gameplay to the very end. Funding through December 2nd is Hegemony Lead Your Class to Victory, which is a unique asymmetric card-driven 1 to 4 player board game experience about politics and the economy. Only 1 player can provide guidance to lead the nation out of a bad economy, unemployment, low standard of living, and high political tension. Each player controls 1 of 4 socioeconomic groups: working class, middle class, capitalist class, or the state. The new worker placement game Robotopia is about robots trying to rule and overtake the master robot to seize control of the factory. It's for 1 to 5 players ages 14 and up and plays in an hour and a half. It features a dual-layer main game board, which is pretty unique. The real-time dice placement game Starfighters Rapid Fire is on Kickstarter now until December 1st. Interplanetary skirmish meets frantic, laugh-out-loud fun. You will never know who will emerge victorious until the very last roll. It plays in 30 minutes and is for 1 to 4 players. There's asymmetric player boards and deluxe upgrades available for backers. If you've ever wanted to build a hotel in space, now you can in Last Resort, Space Hotel Simulator. It's $21.42, and the most troublesome space stations in the galaxy are up for sale. Players must transform it to your own space resort, build attractions, advertise it, and make the most money. The game plays in an hour for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up. The popular worker bee placement game Honeybuzz is getting an expansion on Kickstarter now called Honeybuzz Fall Flavors. Open up the honey stand and bring the pumpkins. It adds a woodland board, a harvest festival board, fruit tiles, fruit order cards, squishy fruit components, and much more. Vidal Lacerda has a new heavy Euro game on Kickstarter with art from Ian O'Toole called Weather Machine. Leverage research and lab experience to address the world's extreme weather conditions. Expect high-quality components and dual-layered boards since Eagle Gryphon Games is publishing it. It's for 1 to 4 players and plays in 1 to 3 hours. Brotherwise Games has a new game in their hero crafting card game series, Call to Adventure. The latest right now on Kickstarter is Call to Adventure Epic Origins and plays in 30 to 60 minutes for 1 to 4 players. Start with Heritage and Origin cards and choose your class and start leveling up, then face the adversary to fulfill your destiny. This is a standalone game and a perfect jumping on point if you're new to it all. Also on Kickstarter is a second edition of the Formula Racing board game Race Formula 90. This reprint will include improved rules and additions like a companion rulebook, redesigned and 20% larger tracks, strategy cards for rule reminders, component improvements, and more. The first edition has been sold out for years, so now the second edition will be just what the fans have been waiting for. The Heroes of the Shire board game is a turn-based combat adventure RPG for 1 to 6 players. There's an arena mode that allows for PvP or the scenario game mode that has you in a cooperative campaign playing through each scenario. The playtime ranges from 30 minutes to 180 minutes. For a post-apocalyptic world setting, check out Resurgence for 1 to 4 players. It's a competitive Euro game where you use your wits to survive, regroup, and rebuild Moscow. Secretly plan where your workers will go to do tasks like gather fuel, food, and parts, rescue new survivors, and build your home base. The phone game of Snake is getting a tabletop adaptation called Snake the Board Game. It's for 2 to 4 players and lets players gradually move their snakes around the board without colliding with anything along the way. Compete to eat apples on the board and extend the length of your snake's body each time. Back it on Kickstarter before it ends next week. In industry news, there was a ransomware attack 2 weeks ago on Diamond Comic Distributors and Alliance Game Distributors. Their websites went down, affecting orders and communication. Customer data and financial information stored on the network were not impacted, according to the release. The supply chain bottleneck and port congestion and container shipping is starting to ease up. Costs are going down for containers from China, now at about $14,000 instead of $35,000, as reported by many games developers in the past few months. Games distributor Publisher Services Incorporated has hired a new accounts manager to oversee their business with Target, Major, and Kohl's. Todd Morton comes from GlaxoSmithKline with years of doing supply chain, sales, and marketing. PSI distributes games from small and large developers like Czech Games Edition, Indie Board and Cards, Restoration Games, and Stronghold Games. Roca Robotics Incorporated has been acquired by TCG Player. They created the Roca sorter that helps game store owners sort their card inventory better. It can sort cards by type, game, name, set, or rarity, and apply pricing. Now TCG owns it along with the business, which will operate as a subsidiary. The Roca Robotics CEO Kevin Lipkin will stay on as head of Roca Robotics for TCG Player. Toys for Tots 2021 is coming up, which distributes games to needy kids and offers 50% off for purchasing a second copy of a game at retailers to be donated to Toys for Tots. The Game for Every Table program was run by the GAMA, but this year it will be run by Gnome Games and is available to any brick-and-mortar retailer. A digital version of Catan is coming to PlayStation and Xbox consoles soon, though dates and prices are not announced yet. Look for it to come to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series X and S consoles. Not to be left out, the Nintendo Switch is also getting a tabletop digital game. Root from Leader Games is now available to download on the Switch and plays 2 to 4 players. It's been developed by Direwolf Digital, who also adapted board games such as Raiders of the North Sea, a Game of Thrones board game, Sagrada, and more. Walgreens pharmacy stores will be getting in on the board game retail business by adding several games to end caps vials in their stores. Big G Creative has worked a deal with them to distribute and display 7 of their games via Walgreens. Bluffinier, Bob Ross Happy Little Accidents, Kraft Heinz Variety Game Pack, Megamouth, and By Felicia. The other 2 are Walgreens exclusive releases, No Filter and Hangry. Hangry is a fast-flipping, food-matching card game where players steal from opponents. It's a 15-minute game for 3 to 6 players. Splatterspellin, the development studio famous for Food Chain Magnate, has announced a new game about building and selling horseless carriages, i.e. the early 19th century automobiles. Horseless Carriage is a 3 to 5 player Euro about building a business and an industry at a time when people needed to be persuaded to get a vehicle. It's expected to come out in summer next year. Stella Dixit Universe is a new standalone game in the world of Dixit games. It has a new press your luck mechanism that has players interacting with each other with the cards. It's for 3 to 6 players and plays in 30 minutes. Just out last week from Games Workshop is Corn Blood Bowl Team, the Skull Tribe Slaughterers. Maul your opponents as a bloodthirsty squad of footballers. This squad set retails for $40. Happy Salmon is getting its first release since Exploding Kittens acquired it from North Star Games. Coming this month, it will be packaged in a box instead of the fish bag as before. It's for 3 to 8 players and will retail for $12.99. A new version of Flux, called Flux Remix, is coming out March 3rd from Looney Labs. The keeper cards remain the same, but new goals, actions, and rules offer more challenging and chaotic play. New music-inspired references are placed on the cards. Gale Force 9 has an expansion coming for Dune, a game of conquest, diplomacy, and betrayal. It's called Chom and Riches and adds these new factions to the base game. The Chom faction is about making money, while House Riches are technological innovators. Look for it next February. Lucky Duck Games is releasing an expansion to Destinies by the end of the year called Destinies Sea of Sand. It will require the base game, and it explores the coast of North Africa in 3 new scenarios. It will retail for $29.99. A word-guessing game called Word Heist is coming this year from GameBright. With the letters on various cards on the table, players secretly make a word and get points for giving as many clues as they can. However, if a player guesses the word, they score it instead. It's for 2 to 6 players and plays in 20 minutes and will retail for $20. The Marvel Legendary Deck Building game has a new expansion coming in Q2 next year called Messiah Complex. It's based on the crossover story arc from the comics and has 200 cards, bringing back sidekicks as well. From Roxley Games, Chai is a tea merchant game where you can buy and collect ingredients to fill customers' tea orders and make money for completing them. You'll be able to make tea when it releases on December 1st for $49.99. It's for 1 to 5 players ages 8 and up. Also on December 1st, Arcane Wonders is releasing the card game Air, Land, and Sea Critters at War. It's a standalone sequel that takes place in 3 theaters of war, and it's for 2 players ages 14 and up playing in 20 minutes. Plaid Hat Games has a new cooperative game from Jerry Hawthorne coming this January called Familiar Tales. It's a deck-building co-op where players are wizards' familiars tasked with saving and raising a princess. Keep her alive and away from evil out to get her. For 1 to 4 players ages 8 and up and plays in 45 minutes. Expected to retail for $79.95. This month, a new edition of Nanty Narking by Martin Wallace is hitting retail from Ares Games. It already has a deluxe version, but this is a new standard edition to have an affordable option for players. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in 60 minutes. In Q1 next year, Rio Grande Games is releasing the game Watch, a rondel game set in a Soviet watch factory that used to be a World War II era munitions factory. Make gears for watches while smuggling out munitions and hiding this from other players. Catch opponents and take bribes with espionage in this Euro game. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 14 and up and plays in about an hour. Coming soon from Z-Man Games is Ultimate Railroads, which will be a complete box set of the popular worker placement game Russian Railroads. The expansions American Railroads, German Railroads, and Asian Railroads are all included in the box. It will retail for $119.99. Releasing today from Asmodee USA is the star system building game Cosmogenesis. Begin with an asteroid belt and star, and use resources to make new planets and moons. Eventually, manifest life on these planets as they grow, form atmospheres, and more. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up and plays in an hour. By Tim Eisner, check out the set collection card game Canopy, coming to retail December 3rd. From Weird City Games, players try to grow the most bountiful rainforest by having the right combination of plants and animals in their jungle. Strategically choose what grows where, and over 3 seasons, score the most points by having the most balanced ecosystem. It's for 1 to 2 players, ages 8 and up, and will retail for $29.95. Lastly, there's a new Unlock Escape Room in a Box coming out based on 3 other board games. It's called Unlock Game Adventures, and each scenario is themed after a different game: Pandemic, Ticket to Ride, and Mysterium. It's set to come out in the first quarter next year. So real quick, I'll give you a quick update about what's going on with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. 2 new unboxing videos came out for some newly released games, one for Floriferous and one for Alien: Fate of the Nostromo. Floriferous is the latest flowery set collection game from Pencil First Games and has a kind of King Domino game mechanism feel, plus the kind of set collection like Meadow or Herbaceous. It's light but fun and small enough to take with you most places. It's cool. The Alien game is based on the first movie only and plays out missions based on events from the movie. It's a co-op that has you working together to craft weapons and items, avoid the alien, and complete objectives. I've played it a few times now and it's been a lot of fun, but can be very difficult. Of course, that's the kind of difficulty you want in a co-op. In our Mentor Minutes podcast, our latest episode was all about heavy games. Jay and I made our own top 10 lists of the best heavy games. These are some of my favorites to play, so putting together my list was a lot of fun. Check it out to see all our picks and if we had any crossovers. In Jay's most recent video of Jay's takeaways, he covers one of his favorite 2-player games, Lost Cities. I've yet to play it, but with how much he brings it up, I really need to. My most recent tutorial video that's come out is a big one. It took many hours and a ton of footage to get it done. Excavation Earth from Mighty Boards, and designed by David Turksey, Gordon Kayea, and Y Yi. I teach the solo mode as well. I wanted to share really quickly that my personal life is getting a bit crazy lately, which has been making it more difficult for me to keep my recording schedule going for the channel. I'm working as much as I can on it, but there's just a lot I'm dealing with right now with family stuff. A lot of stress and anxiety comes from my kids, both of whom are special needs. I love them both to death, but they require constant attention and vigilance. My oldest daughter, who is 8, is autistic and has been acting out a lot lately and hitting people. My youngest is 5 and is immunocompromised due to having received a life-saving heart transplant at 5 months old. With her medical complications, anxiety and trauma that she's dealing with, as well as her ADHD, there's just a lot to handle. I've not shared much about that on video, so this may be the first time you're hearing about this part of my personal life, but that's a big part of my life. Additionally, we're dealing with some extended family drama that I'd rather not get into. All that to say, I'm doing my best to stay on schedule with the videos and content, but I appreciate your support. So thanks for tuning in to today's news update. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.